Today on Screen It or Stream It, ebony furry felines fight for the future of their fiefdom. What?
Black Panther is an action-adventure movie based on the Marvel Comics property of the same name. It is rated PG-13 for prolonged sequences of action and violence, and we like violence, and a brief rude gesture.
Rude gesture? Oh, the sister. I loved her.
Yeah. Black Panther is a story of a kingdom in Africa that's been basically hidden and isolated for thousands of years. It was also the site of a prehistoric meteor impact, making the nation rich in a rare and incredibly useful strong metal known as vibranium. This allows the nation of Wakanda to develop technology at a far faster pace than the rest of the world, and they end up with all these really neat sci-fi tech gadgets that nerd dreams are made of. At the beginning of the story, through flashbacks, we're told about the death of the old king. His oldest son, T'Challa, is to rule in his stead, and after he passes the rites of secession, an old foe who attacked their nation in the past surfaces. The new king decides that they're gonna hunt him down and they're gonna bring him back to stand trial for all those crimes he committed.
That sounds pretty straightforward.
Yeah, but things get a little bit more complicated. Of course, mistakes are made by the previous king, and those return to threaten not only T'Challa's rule, but also the safety of Wakanda and the entire rest of the world as well.
Well, that sounds more fun, actually.
Yeah. All right, so what are we gonna rate this?
All right, we got together and averaged out at 3 stars. Alright, so it's a solid score, but I feel like it's a little low for a Marvel movie. I mean, it's a Marvel movie.
Well, and I honestly had to fight the urge, like really fight the urge to go lower.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't feel like the movie was that bad.
Right.
To go lower. But everything I had heard about this movie was, oh, this is the most amazing thing ever. It's the greatest, grandest, most wonderfulest thing ever.
There was a lot of hype. A ton of hype for this movie.
And man, this thing made some money. A lot of people saw this thing on the opening weekend. But I just kept, part of me wanted to push back against that and actually lower my rating to be like, no! But really, when I sat down and thought about it...
Your hipster glasses.
Oh, I do. But when I sat down and thought about it, it wasn't a bad movie. It wasn't a great movie. It was an okay movie, and that's how I came up with my 3 stars. It's okay.
I would agree with that. It's okay. I've seen better. I've seen worse. I mean, it's kind of it's in the middle. But Marvel tends to not do okay. They tend to do good or better, good or great, I guess, or greater.
That's usually
than
how
good.
it goes. Yeah.
Right. My point is, they're usually better than okay in Marvel. So, to me, that makes that a bit of a disappointment because your expectations are a little lifted, and maybe that's a little unfair to rate it lower. But hey, they set the bar high, and then I felt like didn't quite deliver as much as they have on others.
And in fairness, I did like this better than several of the previous Marvel movies.
Sure.
But there are other Marvel movies that I do like better, not just movies in general, but Marvel movies. There's some things that I thought were done really, really well.
Yes.
The characters.
I loved the characters.
The characters are great, and it goes along with that is the acting.
In fact, I loved all of the characters. I can't think of any that I just thought, unless you were supposed to hate them. There are a couple I think, really, you're just they were supposed to be.
But no,
hated,
but you like them as you hate them because they do a good job.
I liked to hate
guy.
them, so that was good.
You've got T'Challa, which
yes.
I can't say.
T'Challa.
Who is the main character. He's the guy that is Black Panther,
And of course, we'd seen him previously, was it in Civil War?
Yeah, I think it was in Captain America Civil War.
Which was great. I loved his introduction there, and I love him. He was great.
He was really good in Civil War, but you didn't get to see a whole lot of him.
No, he was kind of not really a foil or not really an antagonist.
He was a member of the party.
Yeah.
But we didn't get to focus on him. But he is a great character. I really like the character of the Black Panther, of T'Challa. And he is the king of Wakanda.
Yes.
After his father's passing. And the thing is, I would follow that man. If he was a real politician, he's just a good man. And it's kind of really refreshing. Nowadays we tend to want our heroes. I don't know if we want our heroes. They tend to make the heroes flawed. They give them some big character flaw,
a tortured soul.
Yeah, and something to I guess is supposed to personalize them or to give them an opening for attack or a weakness.
And a little of that's good, but too much can not be good.
And he has problems, but his problems come from things like he wants to do the right thing. But what is the right thing? And if it's the right thing for somebody, is it the right thing for everybody? Or is it the right thing, for this group of people? Is that the right thing for this other group of people? And so he has problems, but overall, generally, he is a good man. And I really like that. And the character itself is played very well.
Yes.
Chadwick Boseman is the guy that plays T'Challa, and I love his accent. Like, the accent is
wonderful.
great.
It is wonderful.
The acting is great. I've heard mixed on this, but Michael B. Jordan plays what I would call the main villain. There's two villains, really. And Michael B. Jordan's like foil to Black Panther, I thought he did a great job. I really did. I loved his character. I loved the acting. It's like he was a good match for Black Panther. I really, really did like that. Andy Serkis.
I liked him because he was just crazy with his little laser arm or whatever that was.
Andy Serkis is the other bad guy.
Delightfully nuts. It's great.
Yeah, and they worked really. They didn't really work together, but they worked good as villains.
Yeah.
Because Andy Serkis is crazy. Like, he's happy-go-lucky, shoot stuff, blow it up, whatever. And Michael B. Jordan's character is much more like cool and calculating, and he's got a plan, and we're gonna execute that plan. Where
he's got a long mission, and Andy Serkis was more the make some chaos kind of guy.
Just blow it up and see what happens.
Exactly.
Which is fun.
It's fun, and it was fun to have both of them because that was a nice difference for things shifting gears and staying interesting throughout the story.
And there were some really good, really strong female characters.
His sister was so sassy. And I loved that girl.
And so his sister is like the head of technology for Wakanda too. So they've got a female in this, like super techie role. So that was cool. That I almost called them the Praetorian Guards, but like he has the protectors of the king.
Yeah, with the spears. I don't know what they were.
They're all female, and they are some.
I wasn't gonna mess with them. They look
serious guards.
And they didn't just look scary; they were scary in the right way.
Had his ex-girlfriend, kind of current girlfriend.
Yeah, they did call her an ex at one point, but that relationship seemed a little. It's complicated. If they had a Facebook, it would have been complicated.
But I really loved her. I loved all the female characters in it. They were really good.
And his mom was great too. I mean, all of the females were just wonderful. In that they were great. They were well-rounded, just fun.
I forgot about his mom. Yeah, she did a good job. And I love the world building. So Wakanda is this, and I didn't understand. We caught a glimpse of it in Captain America: Civil War, and Wakanda made no sense to me.
Yeah.
But Wakanda is basically this super technology driven. They are way more advanced in their technology than the rest of the world.
Right.
And they're in the middle of Africa, in the middle of nowhere. But they're hidden. They have this cloaking device.
Right.
That makes it look like trees.
Right.
And
it looked like just a forest jungle mountain, so you wouldn't fly into it, but there's cities under there.
Right. And there's just all this. There's an Amtrak.
Yeah, they had magnetic trains.
Maglev, yeah.
Basically spaceships, though I don't think they actually flew in space.
And they were like anti-gravity airplanes.
Yeah, they were just kind of floating, so it was pretty
But they got all this really cool technology that comes from the vibranium that they've mined out of the area. But they stay hidden. No one knows they're there if they're outside of Wakanda.
Right. And
they want that on purpose because they don't want to be, they don't want people attacking them and trying to steal the technology.
Exactly.
But that world was it was something I'd never seen before, and that was really neat because it was Africa, and they tried to keep a lot of the Africa in it.
Yes, they did such a good job holding on to the not tribal themes, but the heritage of the masks and things that you would expect to find in old Africa, like the 1700s or whatever, and they modernized it and more like futurized it, I guess, is that a word? I don't know. But and that was really just a neat palette or neat canvas for all of this action to happen in. Was just really cool.
And they literally blended them together. You had the super technology and the heritage, and it blended together so well. And the set pieces, the laboratory.
Oh man,
so
the sisters was great.
The sisters' little laboratory was awesome. That thing was beautiful. So I loved the acting. I loved the world building and the world that they were in. And I love the characters were great. But then you take all of that, and it sounds like it's just this really great thing. But then there were some things that really let me down. And I mean, I almost hate to say it because we mentioned it a bunch. But number one was the CGI.
Bad CGI, we will always harp on, we will always call you on it. If we see it and we think, oh, well, that's obviously CGI, you're going to hear about it from us.
And the thing I don't understand is Black Panther is CGI.
Why?
Like when he's in the suit and he's fighting, it's CGI and it's rubbery and it's
there's no reason for it.
Well, I mean, T'Challa, that I still can't say, he drinks this chemical that is like passed down through
the heart flower.
There you go. Through ancestral times, and it gives him the powers of the Black Panther. So he's supposed to be able to run faster and, you know, be stronger than a normal man.
Right.
So that's the only reason I can think they would go CGI, was to try to speed him up or try to make him look stronger. But they so could have done that without CGI, and it looks just kind of awkward and weird in the movement. Something is not right there.
I have seen enough really just awesome choreographed kung fu fights, talking to you, Jackie Chan, that are totally impossible. Of course, then they show you all the outtakes where he got hurt so many times. But the point is, it was done practical. It was done in camera, and it looks amazing. You don't have to CGI everything. Well, yeah, sometimes you do, but not everything.
And you'd even said it's a guy in a full body suit.
Toe, you can't see his face.
So that was an easy stunt double right there.
Yes, please.
So that, and the rhinos. The rhinos. So they have these rhinoceros, armored rhinos.
I wanted to like them.
They should have been neat, but they were so just big blobs of CGI running through the landscape.
And I'll tell you what my issue with that is. Very simple. What was it, like Golden Compass was 2005 or something?
Yeah.
They had an armored polar bear in that one. Polar bear is furry. Rhinos are not. Fur is harder to animate than just a solid skin. Why did the rhinos look fake?
It was like Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was what, like 95, 97?
93.
93.
Yes.
And dinosaurs! There they are.
So come on, guys.
And it's Marvel and Disney. You know there had to be some cash flying at this thing, so I don't understand that. I don't know why that went off rails. The other thing I thought kind of was a letdown was the core story. While it wasn't a bad story, it wasn't unique. It wasn't different enough to be something oh, that's cool. I've never seen that before.
A bit of a mixed bag. I mean, you've got the, I guess, traditional themes of the king wanting to do what's right, what's best for his people, versus the people don't necessarily always want what's best for them. You know, sometimes they're out for blood, and he's like, no, guys, calm down, it's fine. We're taking care of this the right way, and it gets a little complicated there, but and those are fine to work with, but yeah, kind of.
And like I said, it was a fine story. It was all right. It was an entertaining story, but it didn't elevate the film to greatness.
And it didn't seem, though they tried to make it personal to T'Challa and his struggle, it didn't feel personal to me. More it was the grand, like he felt a little removed to me. I don't know why. I don't think that was intentional. Maybe I'm just insensitive. It's possible.
Well, and something else I had a problem with was again Michael B. Jordan's villain, and I loved him. I loved the character.
The scarring thing was weird, but
I actually liked the scarring. I thought that was cool. But at the end,
make a point though.
At some point, he ends up drinking the the heart flower.
Yeah.
So he ends up drinking the heart flower, and it gives him the powers. That way, he can be an equal villain to Black Panther.
Yeah.
But the problem is, he's literally an equal to Black Panther. They give him like the same suit, and in the movie they actually give the suit has this really neat thing where it would absorb impacts and store it as energy and then release it.
That was cool.
And when it happened, Black Panthers would turn purple, like they would be little purple glowies on his suit. And when the bad guy would do it, it would turn gold. And the only reason I can figure for that is because you can't tell them apart otherwise, because it's literally the same thing.
Yep.
And that has been done so much. You got Flash and Reverse Flash. You've got Superman and General Zod, and it's like, oh well, let's just take the same guys and give them the same powers and let them face off against each other. And I don't know, I was kind of let down by that being the main foil.
And I have not read any of the Black Panther comics because I'm not a huge comic guy. I assumed he was from the comics, probably one of the villains that had already been established, so they were using. But again, I have not read it and I have not researched that, so I don't know for sure. But that's kind of what I had figured.
But I mean, like I said, I loved the character though, but it wasn't bad. But it just felt like when they were fighting, it was like, oh, it's two of the same thing, and then the CGI thrown in there. Because the fights were just, I mean, let me reenact it for you. It was literally,
and then occasionally, and that was the cool part.
That was cool. But I mean, it was just this mess of swirling CGI, and it was like, oh.
Since you brought up Superman, who's the best villain for Superman?
Lex Luthor.
Exactly. Why is he the best villain? Because he's not the same. Superman's super strong. Lex Luthor has to counter that, so he uses his mind to outsmart him. That's what makes a really interesting tale, because it's not just going head to head. And that is why I think this one is a little less interesting, because they're just going head to head the whole time, which is fun, makes for violence, and of course we like violence. But I don't know, it just could have been more, that's all.
Yeah, and again, so it ends up in that, it's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right.
I mean, if you like just the high action, explodey stuff everywhere, this movie's for you.
Yeah, I know, and it was a fun high action explode. They blew up spaceships and all kinds of stuff. One thing I was a little shocked about, and I think people should know, is the violence in it. Which, I mean, you always have superhero movies.
Yeah, it's action violence.
But they were shooting people and stabbing people constantly in this thing. Like, showing them stabbing, into things and shooting and bullet wounds and...
Yeah, I hadn't really noticed, but I've been desensitized, I guess.
Well, I know, and I mean, that's the kind of thing I like. But if you're going to take your little kids, like the hundreds of people that were in the theater with us did, then... you may want to know that there's some people getting shot and killed and stabbed, and it's kind of rough on some of that. And I was like, wow, I was really surprised. And I mean, it wasn't Deadpool level.
Oh, no.
Crazy violence, but still, I was a little bit shocked at that.
Blood spraying everywhere. So
I don't know. So that's my 27 cents worth.
Fair enough.
I like the characters. I like the character development. I love the world. The world building was so cool. The rest of the stuff did not come together to make a great movie. It just kind of was there, and it was a good movie. It was a fun ride.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it, and 3 stars. If it came on TV again, I'd watch it again. I'd be all right with that.
That's fair. So, if you're feeling like something else, maybe not going to the theater, what you got?
So I tried really hard, and I didn't want to do a comic book movie because it just seems like cheating. And if you did a comic book movie, I apologize. But so I was trying to think of something that kind of gave me the same feel, and I'm going to go with The Last Kingdom. And I've mentioned The Last Kingdom before, but it is a Netflix series. I think it's actually a BBC series, but
yeah, picked up by Netflix.
It's a Netflix. It's one of those Netflix things. And The Last Kingdom is basically the story of this little boy. He's like 10 years old, and he is British. His father is a king in Britain. This is way before Britain has become Britain. There are a bunch of little kingdoms.
Unified,
There's Essex and Wessex and all that.
Fiefdoms.
And so the Vikings come in and invade. His father gets killed, and he gets taken by the Vikings. And he gets raised by them, and he actually goes out to fight the Vikings at 10, and they respect that. So fast forward to 20 years later, and he's a full-grown man, and he's got this huge problem. He's in a world that's half Viking and half British, and he's half British and half Viking. And no one will trust him, and no one will believe him, because if he goes to the Brits, they're like, oh, he looks and sounds like a Viking. We don't trust him. If he goes to the Vikings, they're like, oh, we know where he was born a Brit. Yeah. We can't trust him. But he is a good man. He is a good man at heart, and he just wants to what is rightfully his and to do what's right. And I really got that feeling in Black Panther. And he has that same problem of, I want to lead these people. I want to do what's right. But sometimes the people don't necessarily go with him, and they don't go along with what's right. They want to do what's best for them, and that was kind of a big theme in Black Panther. And it is a series; it's not a movie.
Yeah.
It's a rated TV MA. It's full of violence and gore and all that stuff. But I think it kind of gives me that feel of that hero, that good man out front, and I really like that. And so I would highly recommend The Last Kingdom. It's on Netflix.
Well, I'm going to be cheap and have got like a split decision here because I couldn't think of anything that really fit, I felt. So I first went and looked up because I'd seen it before, 1986 Shaka Zulu. Not sure what that one's rated because it was kind of a TV miniseries as well. But there's lots of tribal nudity, so if you're bothered by that, don't watch it. But it's, for the African themes and all the historical stuff there. And it also really dealt with the kings trying to walk that balance of doing what made them happy versus protecting the people. So it had a lot of that. I don't feel like that one's a really good fit though, so I'm going with a superhero movie. Wonder Woman on the DC side, because you've got the secret island of people that's hidden from everyone, and then the one leaves, which Diana in this case leaves to go interfere in the world of men and help out. And they don't really have advanced technology in Wonder Woman, PG-13 by the way, but they have kind of like the God Killer, so they have stuff. It's just different, and that one ends up being kind of similar. She doesn't end up really going back to rule her people, but. So I guess I didn't feel like it was a good
CGI villain.
But it did have a horrible CGI villain. So I mean, you get that. And I felt Wonder Woman was better done. Just for the characters were good in both. But I preferred Wonder Woman if I had to pick between the two. But hey, they're both fun. They're both action. And we are out of time. Thank you so much for watching Screen It or Stream It.
Remember, don't take your kids to the movies on Tuesday nights because that's when we go.